morning. Welcome to Insight. I'm Lana Hart.
And I'm Santae Wilson.
And if you don't know Santae Wilson, then shame on you. He's the world featherweight kickboxing champion right here in the middle of the Metroplex, and people don't even know it. Tonight we'll find out why and find out how you can help change that. Also coming up, some people...
You recognize this face or this one? How about here? All are the face of 28-year-old Clement Santae Wilson Jr. at various stages of the young Dallas native's life. If you've ever had the misfortune of running into trouble, perhaps you remember him from here, a Dallas municipal courtroom. Today, his job as bailiff is to protect the judge and citizens in the courtroom. You can feel pretty safe with him here. But you wouldn't want to meet him here, in the ring, where by night he transforms into a lethal weapon. Santae is the ISKA featherweight kickboxing champion of the world. As of this fight against former title holder Jerome Canabate in Lausanne, Switzerland in November of 1987. His victory came in a technical knockout during the 10th round.
Santae Wilson is being held up by Walt Mason. Now, ladies and gentlemen,
his fighting reputation, paired with his occupation outside of the ring, have earned him the dramatic title Le Sheriff, meaning the sheriff.
I've been in kickboxing about 10 years now. I got started when I was working at the karate school downtown Dallas, watching Demetrius Avanis, who really set the pace in kickboxing in Texas. And from that point on, I just like the continuous type fighting opposed to tournament type where once you make contact, you have to break, and I like the continuous type fighting.
Now, this isn't the only kind of sport you're involved in, is it? You also do some conventional boxing.
Right.
To what extent?
Well, I don't box often. I boxed a lot when I was in the military, amateur boxing. Now I'm focusing more on kickboxing, so that's my primary sport. Kickboxing is different. A lot of people are not aware of it because, you say kickboxing, well, what is that? It's a combination of karate and boxing combined. Use your hands as a boxer would and your kicks as a karate person would. Karate is traditional type. That's what karate is, where, a lot of people relate to chops and that sort of things, blocks and things of that nature, whereas kickboxing I guess said at a faster pace. Everything, well, different things, everything's above the waist. Whereas in karate, you can kick to the groin, check the legs, for sweeps and that type of thing.
Like dirty.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Now, you're located right here in the middle of the Metroplex, where we are pretty much fanatic about our teams and about our famous athletes and so forth. You've got a world title, and no one knows about it, or very few people know about it. How did that happen?
It's the sport itself just hadn't got off the ground. A lot of people are not aware of the fact that I was going to Switzerland fight for the title, for one thing. It was a surprise to me, but my manager worked it out. And even as we left, we just didn't notify a lot of people. And the sport itself hadn't got off the ground because we've had several world champions come through Dallas and haven't got the recognition that they deserve.
You've got less recognition, but that doesn't mean you've made any fewer sacrifices than athletes in other sports.
Right.
What do you have to go through?
Oh, the training is in my opinion, a lot harder than what the boxers do, because I box and I know what they go through. We have to work on our legs as well, kicking techniques, kicking drills, the sparring itself, because it takes more out of you to kick, to raise your legs, whereas boxing, you use your legs in a different way. The punching is coming, the power comes from your legs, but to go 10, 12 rounds, you have to throw a minimum of 8 kicks a round. It's not an easy job.
And in addition to all the training you do, you spend about 2 hours a day training.
Right.
You also hold down another job.
Right. I work downtown at the city coordinator judge's office as a deputy marshal bailiff.
Off-duty, Santae Wilson is a family man. He and his wife, Manuela, the lady in red, are the proud parents of the short guy in the picture, Santae Wilson III. And there's another on the way. They're joined on this outing by Yolanda, one of two sisters the fighter grew up with in Dallas Highland Hills area. They say his fighting does at times make family members very nervous, but understand it's something he must do, despite the sacrifices. Santae's manager of 2 years is Walt Mason. With 12 years in this business, he says he's represented 21 fighters, professional and amateur, with 3 world titles among them.
This business is a little tougher than other professional sports, is it not?
It is tough because the monetary rewards aren't there. Most of the people involved in this sport, in sport karate and kickboxing in particular, the money just isn't there yet. Most of us that are involved in the sport do it for the love of the sport. The reward is being with your fighters, watching them grow, watching them win, and the reward is the look on their face and their feeling after they win a fight.
So to help people understand kickboxing just a little better, is it regulated by associations or organizations, and if so, what are those?
There are 3 sanctioning bodies right now that are prevalent in this country and throughout the world. And one is the ISKA, which is the International Sport Karate Association, which Santae Wilson holds the world featherweight title in. There's Kick International Council of Kickboxers, and there's World Karate Association, which is the WKA. Those 3 sanctioning bodies actually sanction the fights, and they are the people that really supposedly control the monies.
How does the kickboxing business differ from, say, boxing or karate or any other sport?
Boxers are, of course, athletes, a special type of person that has an aptitude to get in there and really be a pugilist, be a boxer. Kickboxers start off as traditionalists. They start off in karate. Then they get into sport karate. But it's inbred in them because they have, it's a special type of pride, and it's a special type of an attitude. And I think that's the term that most martial artists live by, is attitude.
Mason says kickboxers' training expenses are probably equal to those of more highly paid sports professionals. The monetary returns are not. So kickboxing, more so than a lot of other disciplines, boils down to a real love of the sport, not money.
Yet the media, quite often to the dismay of athletes and sometimes to fans, do tend to focus on the purses that are involved in sports. So in order to give people an idea of just how much dedication we're talking about here, how would a kickboxing purse compare to, say, a boxing or karate or any other sport?
It's a very, very touchy subject. I'm glad you brought it up because we're very cognizant of it. I think our kickboxers put forth more effort than boxers. Not taking anything away from the boxers, because I have an immense amount of admiration for them. The money is about 1% as compared to boxing, the monetary reward. It is really minimal. If you ask a world champion like Santae Wilson, what would you fight for today? And tune-up fights, they would fight for literally nothing. There are not enough fights right now in kickboxing throughout the whole country. There are not enough fights and promoters putting on fights for these people to stay in decent shape. So if we here have to continually train them and continually have fights here, they fight for virtually nothing. And I have seen and I have heard statements from my fighters. They'll say, Mr. Mason, I'll take a fight for nothing. Just get me a tune-up fight.
We're talking ultimate sacrifice here.
Ultimate sacrifice. Just a little bit of recognition. Let me just show my talent. I see some progress from 10 years ago. Unfortunately, because kickboxing is such a young sport, it really is in its infancy, I think that many of the mistakes are being made over and over again. And I really think that until they take the fighter at heart, the promoters will not make any money either. We've got to consider the fighter, and we've got to get the karate people not just the karate people, but other people from other walks of life interested and notice that this is a beautiful sport. It's an exciting sport.
Tactful fighter. Seems to be fresh.
What the sport needs more of is spectators and more good business people who can make it more profitable for both fighters and the promoters who often have a rough time just breaking even on a good fight. For those in Dallas and in Fort Worth, watching Santae might be a good place to start. For instance, he's toying with the idea of moving up from 130 to the 135-pound division to fight. He's got an exhibition at South Fork scheduled for June and fight in October. Will he win? Will kickboxing get the boost it needs? Will you be there? For answers, tune into the adventures of the world featherweight champion.